Welcome back, everyone. I'm Davin Chitwood with Kirkham Iron Tech, and I have our founder and CEO here, Tom Kirkham. And a buzzword that I've been hearing a lot as I talk with clients and other businesses around the nation is peak performance. Every business wants to reach peak performance, and it really starts with their IT infrastructure. And so, Tom, for all the business owners and overall organizations listening out there, what are some good tips and maybe like the top 3 things that a business really needs to invest in or have in their IT infrastructure to have the best chance at reaching peak performance?
That's a great question. And I've touched on this a few other times. It's part of our 3 pillars in our assessments. It's all about, if you're way underspending compared to your peers, you shouldn't pat yourself on the back. Good job. I'm being real cheap on my IT. Good job, right? What you should be asking is, what are we missing? What are we not maximizing our investment in IT, right? So to kind of answer it a different way is what you want to look for in a MSP, managed services provider. And let me just back up a notch here. In the IT management business, there's 2 types of companies. One's a break fix. That means something's broken, you call them and they come and fix it. Okay. The other is an MSP, managed services provider. Now, the difference between those 2 is MSPs should be a lot more proactive and engaged in your business. They are going to do a lot of different things to keep you up and running, like recommending retiring equipment instead of just waiting until it fails. Okay. They're going to consult with you on things like disaster recovery, business continuity, which gets into the cybersecurity realm as well. And then they're going to monitor everything and hopefully proactively keep everything up and running, because that's ultimately what you want IT to do. Everything stays up and running. Everything is there to increase productivity and efficiency. That's why you buy it.
Yes.
Okay. Don't view it as an expense. Now, if you can, if you're a professional services firm, you should expect to spend 6% to 14% of gross revenues every year on IT and cybersecurity. And I'm talking about buying servers. I'm talking about the whole thing. And so if you're under 6%, I've already got concerns that it's not being run properly. Okay. So like I said, don't get so quick to pat yourself on the back. If you really go through an assessment and identify the gaps and you understand the risk, or maybe there's not any gaps, then and only then can you start patting yourself on the back. Right. So, and then cybersecurity, the function on it, of course, is cybersecurity's got to be number 1. It's not a plug into IT anymore. IT should not run the shop. Cybersecurity should. Security professionals should run the environment, or at least control the environment. And we are seeing service providers get more and more into cybersecurity, but this is my video, so we've been doing this for years. And so I don't know that, somebody that's just now getting into it is, best in class. So, are they on the, I don't know, the 250 list that we are, or, globally, or, how long have they been doing it? Is their founder on an ISIS kill list because of a security breach? Probably not. I hope not anyway. But yeah, you just getting back to the core thing is proactive management, consultative engagement. I would look for an all-in contract. That means you can call as much as you want. And if those guys are doing their job right, they are incentivized to make sure everything just runs, because they make more money when everything is just running flawlessly. There's no help desk calls coming in. Nothing ever breaks. And they make more money. So that puts them on the same team as your organization. Okay. And I love that model. I'm not crazy about companies that try to do both. try to be managed services plus break fix. I don't like that model. We tried it for about 3 months, said, no way. And here's the problem with that. They're doing break fix work, but they've got people under contract to be Johnny on the spot. Well, I got this one customer that calls them every 2 or 3 years. And when they do call, it's an emergency. The servers had a catastrophic failure. And the IT service provider is going to have a tendency to say, well, I've got to take care of him because he's down and he needs a $10,000 server. And that's not fair to the people under contract. You've promised that you're going to be Johnny on the spot with them, and you can't have those distractions. And you got to drive that money. I guess I'm lecturing to IT service providers, right? You've got to be prepared to walk away from that money. And we just don't do that. We don't really do much of anything if they're not if they're not already a client of ours. We're very careful about that. And in fact, I've got a book on that somewhere on the website. It's kind of old, but it's basically how to pick an IT service provider.
Yeah. And you mentioned something that, and this word really kind of brings it all home, is partnership. You and your IT or your managed service provider, your IT provider, there should be a partnership. It shouldn't be client and IT provider. It's a partnership. You're both invested in the business to make it profitable, keep it up and running, and of course, reach peak performance. And that's the type of approach we take here at Kirkham Iron Tech, the partnership approach, where you can ask a simple question. Well, how many times do you talk to your IT provider a year? And if it's maybe less than 5-6 times, of course, aside from help desk, then there's a problem, because we're reaching out and talking with our clients often, very, very often, to just understand how the business is going. And then, like you said, provide those recommendations, build and grow with them as we take that partnership approach. And if you're listening to this and, well, I don't have that partnership approach, or maybe I'm not getting the recommendations that I need or that I want, or maybe I don't even really know what I need. It goes back into where, we do have that free assessment where you can learn exactly and figure out and evaluate your IT infrastructure, figure out what you have, maybe some of the things that you're not getting, reveal any of those vulnerabilities or gaps that you may have. And then, of course, we provide those recommendations, and we can talk about that partnership approach that you may be wanting. But overall, if you're trying and if you're wanting to reach peak performance within your organization, it starts with your IT infrastructure. And to do that, you have to have that quality service of that experienced managed service provider that takes that partnership approach, that has best practices in place to reach peak performance.
Yeah. Those are all well said. And just real briefly, if you're talking to IT people, I don't care if they're on staff or you outsource, it doesn't really matter. If they can't clearly articulate the difference between business continuity, disaster recovery, and backup, then you probably don't have a really good backup, disaster recovery, business continuity plan. Because almost always, to cover all three of those things, it's a multiple technologies and strategies and on-prem and off-prem and different, it's just different procedures and everything that goes along with it. This is part of the corporate governance thing that is one of our foundations that it's about aligning management and leadership and the company's objectives with their investments in IT and cybersecurity as well.
No, that's exactly right. Well, if y'all have any questions, or if you're interested in that free assessment, feel free to reach out via email or phone call, or just leave a comment below and we'll get back to you. But tune in next week. We do these every single week on a new topic, and we look forward to talking to you soon.